record. So TYECIA, and then I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll launch in. We'd love to hear what people are already doing. It's a practice of appreciative inquiry where you can notice what is already happening, right? Because that's the path of least resistance. You can keep doing those things. It's really hard to change habits, and TYECIA will talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. But when you're like Iris is, when you're trying to start new habits and do new things, there's a lot of ways that you can, relapse and not be inspired to start again, or maybe you set your goals too big and that was kind of impossible to begin with. But we're all trying to establish new habits during this coronavirus crisis. And at best, we want to support you in whatever it is you're doing that works, but also inspire you to do some new things that you haven't tried yet. And why isn't this moving forward? Okay. Well, Ty, why don't you go over our goals of the webinar?
And everyone, I'm Ty. We'll get to introductions shortly, but I wanted to make sure I let you know the goals of this webinar. So we have 3 goals that we're going to try to hit today. First, we want to try to identify your current source of personal and team stress. My apologies. The second thing we're going to try to do is to understand, help you to understand the scope of possible stress relieving immune boosting strategies. And thirdly, we're going to identify next steps and have you set those goals and next steps for yourself and or your teams. And that could be family teams, that could be work teams. So we'll talk a little more about that shortly.
Awesome. And to just start out with a little bit of poetic inspiration, this is a brief one. And just take a deep breath while you read this. Take a few. One of the things I like about this poem is it's sequential, right? You have to breathe in order to have a lot of air. And I think one of the challenges with wellness is we get into crisis and then we go, I need this thing. But that thing would have been great if it had been developed before the crisis. And wellness is one of those things. One of our postcards says, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll have to make time for your illness. And these immune boosting strategies are really meant to help you with your mental exposure to this crisis, your viral exposure to this crisis as well. So as you know, our physical and mental health affects everything that we do, especially our jobs, especially our parenting. And so whether you're working at a school or not, and whether you're parenting or not, your physical and mental health is going to affect everything. And we can either have ease or dis-ease in our life. Unfortunately, stress and fear create dis-ease and disease. So we want to, yes, figure out how to limit the stressful mental exposures that we have, but we also have to prepare our bodies so that when we are exposed to the coronavirus, which we will be or have been already, we can build our immunity such that we can resist it or have an easier time with the physical challenges. So physical health is this red circle, and usually it's the physical stuff to our bodies. We talked about sleeping and rest, trying to eat more vegetables, Julia said, and exercise, movement, and stretching can sometimes be challenging to fit in. But really the mental health piece, this blue circle, is even more important than the physical, though it's of course impacted by our physical health. But what we choose to think, how we choose to react to things, and the inspiration or whatever the opposite of inspiration is, the challenge to our mental health, like addiction or oppression or finances. We have to figure out how we mentally react to those things. And that's a more challenging practice sometimes than the physical ones. But my premise is that red and blue make purple. When we talk about physical and mental health, we create better team health because we're making ourselves vulnerable in some way. We just talked about our bodies and our habits and our minds. Like, what's more vulnerable than that? But that inspires empathy because we all share similar bodies. We share similar nervous systems, and we share the need the basic human needs for rest, sleep, drink, movement, friendship, etc. So we want to talk about red and blue in order to create purple. We want to talk about our physical and mental health in order to create team health. And I came up with all of this because I spent 25 years in the nonprofit world, doing 27 plus years, doing fundraising, which is stressful, and doing team building and team coordination, which is hard, and not being officially trained as a manager, and not, having a lot of resources in the nonprofit world to learn new skills or to bring new things in for our team. Even wellness is really not practiced in the nonprofit world. In the corporate world, it's a $7 billion industry, but we didn't really have a nonprofit wellness sort of practice. So when I started consulting again a few years ago, I decided to make that the focus of my practice, because the culture of nonprofits is burning people out even before the coronavirus hit. But now that we have a brand new society, not brand new, but a new normal in our society, we need to figure out what nonprofits and schools are doing to take care of themselves in this new world that we find ourselves in. So that's why why nonprofit wellness and nonprofit comfort were created. And here's some of the talks that we do. Today's is around immune boosting, obviously, but we do talks on body breaks and brain breaks and the neuroscience of stress. A specific one on mindfulness, which we'll do next week with Maria Jose Carrasco for the DCI community. And then building a wellness brigade, we're going to get to that with DCI at the end of the month on the 27th. So please mark your calendars, those of you who are on this call, to join us then, because we want to talk about how do we get DCI to build its culture of wellness. How do we get DCI to support its staff, like Iris, its classroom teachers who have just taught an entire day of classes online, its students, its families. So the team care aspects are listed as well. But most organizations and people, start with that self-care, start with how do we take care of our mental and physical health, and then use talking about that to build their culture and build their teams. So I'll turn it over to Ty so she can introduce herself and talk a little bit about the stress cycle that we're dealing with.
Hello again, everyone. Again, my name is TYECIA, or Ty Powell. I'm a former educator. I've taught fourth grade, middle school, high school, former instructional coach. I'm also the director or COO of Bikram Yoga Works. That's my current job. I'm also getting my doctorate in educational leadership, which my topic of my dissertation is Whole Leaders Create Whole Schools. And that's what brings me to this work and why I'm so passionate about it. I get to mix my two passions together with education world and education world / leadership world and wellness. So I'm interested in this work, and I love this work because of what I've gone through, my personal story of how I wasn't well in education, how I burned out, and then how I rose up, right? How I recharged myself, how I my rebirth, so to speak. So that's who I am. And Susan, what do you think? Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Well, this is a whole lot of information in English and Spanish, but Ty, I'll let you go over it, and I'll just note that I'll chat in the chat box where they can download it if they haven't already.
Okay, so awesome. You're in the 15 immune boosting webinar, okay? And so we're gonna go through all 15 of these right now. And our whole purpose, or our whole premise around this is for you to reset during this time, rehabilitate, and come back stronger. And these 15 things that we're gonna talk about today will help you during this process. So while we are not medical professionals, I want to put that out there. These are tried and true strategies that we've researched and tried on for ourselves, and we want to pass these things on to you. So with that being said, I want to move on to another thing that we're going to use today, or we're going to keep coming back to. And this is our personal stress prescription scorecard, okay? And so let's do a quick personal check-in with yourself right now as you're looking at this document. I'm going to give you a second to look at it.
It's about half of it on this screen, and then the other half you can see when you download.
Okay, so now that you've looked at this part, I want you to think about this as the items on this list are what we suggest you increase or decrease in order to help you on your mental, physical, and emotional wellness journey, right? So for me, I would say that I need to increase my spirituality, right? How often I want to get to maybe once or twice a week, you know, doing something to build my spirituality, whether that's listening to something or reading something. And I want to do that by the end of the month. And for something that I think I would want to decrease, this may sound weird, but I would love to decrease some of the friendships that aren't adding value to my life. And that's important. Sometimes, you know, friends or people are in your life for just seasons, right? So what we use this for is for you to do kind of like a self-assessment of your personal prescription. Where are the areas that I can do better at, you know, I can increase in some areas. And what are the areas I need to, you know what, that's not serving me right now in this. So Susan has, you know, given you the link to download this. And I would strongly recommend everyone kind of take this time. I do this usually about every month or two, just a quick check-in, the same way as you would take your vitamins, just a quick check-in on my own personal prescription. All right, so back to what we talked about, the 15 immune boosters. So Susan and I are going to kind of go back and forth, starting with number 1 here, up to 15 on what these 15 immune boosters are. I think I got a chance to pick out all of my favorite ones. This is by far my favorite, getting outside, getting outside. I mean, it's a little rainy right now. If it was warmer, I would be outside right now because you still kind of get vitamin D even when it's raining outside. But get outside, get outside. That's the first thing that we're going to recommend to you. Couple fun facts here. Vitamin D helps the body produce antibodies, right? So low levels of vitamin D in the body is also linked to respiratory problems, which, you know, we are trying to stay away from any respiratory issues right now. So get outside, get outside. Brisk walks in the sunlight, 10 or 15 minutes will ensure enough vitamin D is produced. For me, Susan, it's been my deck on the back of the house, like walking laps. It's not that much, but I get a couple of laps and, you know, it's not so sunny.
Oh, well, you'll be glad to know that Ella and I commute every morning. She commutes to school, I commute to work. We walk around the block and then we walk in the door and we go to school and work.
You're definitely getting more walking or outside. Sometimes I just sit on the deck. I'm not even gonna lie. It's not even a walk involved, just sit there. But it's been a lot of research about getting outside and the effects of vitamin D. 2 studies I would like to share with you very briefly is one study they did with like 107 older patients, where those patients were given a high dose of vitamin D while others were given a standard dose. And it was found that 40% had 40% of the people that had the higher dose had fewer respiratory infections, okay? The second study that we found was in a group of 25 randomized controlled trials over like 11,000 patients. It showed an overall protective effect of vitamin D supplementation against acute respiratory tract infections. So all that to say, once again, get outside, get outside, get outside, you know, to help. It just, I mean, it goes along with what Susan, the poem that Susan said. It helps breathing, right? You just outside, you take in that fresh breath of air, plus you're getting that vitamin D. Overall, getting outside, number 1 and one of my favorites. So,
there's a reason I put a number 1 on the list. I mean, but number 2 is one of TYECIA's least favorites. And should I move on? Anything else you wanted to say about nature?
Please do.
All right. Well, mushrooms are our second immune boosting. These aren't really in order of importance, but Fantastic Fungi is a great movie that's out that you can watch now. And the even just the 2-minute trailer on YouTube is beautiful. It features time-lapse photography by a wonderful photographer named Louis Schwartzberg, who also did a great video on gratitude that if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it on YouTube. So mushrooms, they are neither animal nor vegetable. They are a third class of organism, and they're actually one of the healthiest foods you can eat. And it is super ironic, especially to like my mom and my former partner, that I'm the one talking about mushrooms because I have been criticized most of my life for not liking mushrooms. In fact, I've been a vegetarian for 30 years, and for 25 of those years, I did not eat mushrooms on purpose much. And then I learned about all of the nutritional value of mushrooms, and I was like, I need to get over this. And I taught myself to like mushrooms. So TYECIA hasn't gotten to that level of ascendant spirituality that I have with mushrooms yet. But I keep trying to convince her that she could take powder or pills, because you can. You don't have to chew the fungus. You can take a pill, you can take mushroom powder, and you will still get a lot of the essential nutrients and minerals that these mushrooms have. So obviously there's a lot of different kinds of mushrooms, and they many of them offer incredible nutritional benefits. For immune support specifically, the three that I've read the most about are turkey tail, chaga, and shiitake, also maitake. And you know, one example is turkey tail, which I've never actually tried. Has a lot of what's called a polysaccharide. It's called PSK, and that's a powerful cancer fighter. Really, really powerful. In fact, it increases the activity of a type of white blood cell that protects us from viral infection, and that's what we're facing right now, is a massive viral infection. So we don't even know much about mushrooms yet in the world of pharmacology in terms of how plants are used medicinally, but we do know that there's incredible potential. So I would say, you know, follow the experts, don't like root around in the woods, because you can kill yourself eating the wrong mushroom that you've sourced yourself. But buy mushrooms, get some mushroom capsules or supplements if you don't like mushrooms, and try to include them in your diet. Yeah, so that's laugh. I mean, that's fungi. So laughter is one of my favorites, and I might not have picked the funniest memes to make you laugh today, but hopefully you've seen some really good ones, because tragedy brings out comedy. Of course, tragedy isn't the definition of drama is tragedy. No, the definition of comedy is tragedy plus time. But in our fast-moving culture, we create comedy even in the midst of tragedy. But the important thing to remember about laughter is it's not just fun, which it is. Medically, it creates endorphins. And this is, when they were discovered in the 70s, scientists named endorphins after morphine, has the same root, because they act, the natural endorphins your body creates act on the same receptors in your brain that morphine does. So it's a physical painkiller. It's also an emotional painkiller. Endo means inside, because you make it inside your body. And what's funny is, even if you fake smile, like everybody, we can't see you, everybody right now just fake smile, really big smile. Or if you fake laugh, if you're on mute, we can't hear you, like ha 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 ha. It creates endorphins anyway. Plus, usually you look or feel weird when you fake smile or laugh, and so you just start laughing at yourself, which is also an option. But laughter, I think, you know, you could look up your favorite videos on YouTube, like that guy, the Scottish sports announcer that calls his dogs, his badly behaving Labradors, he calls their actions like a sports announcer, and it has me in stitches every time. There's, all sorts of funny memes and videos. But if you can bring the laughter into your own life, you know, call a funny friend that you haven't culled from your list. Ty, I really like that example too on the prescription as something to decrease, is friends that no longer serve you. But, you know, figure out how to get more laughter into your house or into your workplace. Sometimes we tamp that down because it's seen as frivolous. I'm saying it's a medical necessity. So another medical necessity is working out. And I'm not that disciplined about this myself. So I try to work it into my schedule, like going to classes like Erin's on Friday at 3:30 or Jesse's yoga class tomorrow at 3:30, where somebody else is going to be there too, and it's time bound, and I'm late if I don't show, you know, or if I miss it if I don't show up. There are ways that you can build in accountability if you're not that great about working out. So group accountability is one, having a buddy is another. This is TYECIA's area, so she can chime in with some advice on this as well. But basically, if you're getting your body moving, you're waking up your brain. You see the difference between the rainbow brain on the right after just some walking versus the sitting brain on the left. You're also not just waking up your brain, but you're teaching your body some new physical thing, whether you're stretching, whether you're building your muscle, or stretching your muscle or extending or contracting your muscles, you are teaching your body something. So maybe you want to teach it something new, like a new yoga pose or dance move. Maybe you want to do the same, burpees that you've always done, or the same running that you've always done. But getting moving is really important for your brain, for your T cells, which are your immune boosting cells, and your mood. Exercise elevates your mood. And so when you look at what we're facing right now in our personal and societal lives, we all need the mood boost of exercise. In fact, Thich Nhat Hanh, who is much more famous for meditation than exercise, says that exercise is the closest thing to a magic potion as you can get for your health. So I added a little 4.5 because really, if you can work out or dance to music, obviously dancing usually happens to music, it's going to give you even more brain break and neural activity. So music lights up the brain. There's a great TED Talk by Nita Collins that shows the research they did on volunteers, where they put your sensors on your head and they ask you to do math and read words and then listen to music. And when they do math, this part of the brain lights up. And when they read words, this part of the brain lights up. When they listen to music, a lot of parts of the brain light up because it's a full brain workout. And when you actually play music on instruments, then it's a body workout as well as a full brain workout. Even more so because you're doing different things with your left and right hand usually, especially drumming. You're sometimes doing things with all four appendages at the same time. And that builds more connections on the corpus callosum. But working out or dancing to music is just another way for your body to get those benefits, but also your brain to really wake up, because it's listening to rhythm, it's listening to tone, it's listening to lyrics, it's listening to harmony, and it's putting it all back together in your brain in fractions of seconds. So music is a really important medical tool, I would argue. So I'll turn it back over to Ty. She's going to talk us through the cycle of habit change.
So see, Susan, I can't let that slide go away and not say anything, right? So, workout, like you said, working out is more than just, pumping iron or something like that. Get moving, people. I heard a lot of, a couple people already say that they're trying to get workouts in. This is actually a phenomenal or great time and something you should celebrate. There's so many free workouts. Like, it's workout overload right now. I mean, I can find workouts on my television right now. I can speak it into my Xfinity remote and I get a free workout right in front of me. I'm not saying all of them are great, but anything that gets you moving is a plus. So utilize these platforms right now, and especially while so many people are offering these things discounted and free. The other thing I would say, Susan, I don't know if I told you, but I pulled out my Wii lately. The video game system, what is it? Nintendo Wii, right? And I had the Just Dance game. It gets you moving. I mean, I spent about 2 hours on this thing, working up a sweat and just dancing and goofing off with my roommates. My roommate woke up sore the next day. So if you have kids in the house, have them turn on TikTok or something and do a couple dances with them. It's a great way to get moving and spend time with your kids. With all of that being said, and moving into cycles of habit change, that's one of the things that I want to talk about. What are we doing now that's going to help us create the habits for later this week, later this month, and post-COVID, right? So the cycles of habit change is something that's super important that I want us all to pay attention to, and something that I want you to try to implement in your life moving forward. And hopefully one of the reasons that you're here, how can I change some things that's going on in my journey right now? So let's go through each phase a little bit, and I want to dig into it. I'm not going to dig into it too much, but just enough so you know what this is. So it's step one. And also, let me just say, keep in mind that this is circular for a reason. There are times where we're going to go, counterclockwise and clockwise on this cycle. So show yourself grace during this time. So most of us right now on this webinar are probably in our pre-contemplation stage, right? Like, you realize there needs to be a change, or I want to do something, add something, decrease something right now. So you already got that one down pat, that pre-contemplation. Now I need you to move into contemplation. number 3, preparation. But contemplation is step 2. It's normally where you're weighing your options right now. Kind of what you're doing here, like, what's going to work for me? What's not going to work for me? Am I sure about this? Maybe I need to do a little bit more research. But that's when you're trying to decide. I say with step 2, do your research. If you're unsure, do your research, but it's very important to jump in. Number 3, the preparation, jump in. While you're doing your research, while you're contemplating, go ahead and prepare yourself. If that means putting it in your calendar, put it on your calendar so that you know. If that means, you know, laying out your clothes at night, do that. If that's what you want to do for working out. Nutrition. Prep, especially during this time. Many of us have become like hunters and gatherers in the house. Like we're just foraging for food all day long. Prep it. Make sure you prep. Same way that you might have done when you were going into the workplace. Try to prep your meals on Sundays or Mondays, whatever that day is. And also include your kids and your family. You're changing habits for everyone right now, or adding a habit for yourself right now. So once you get through that unsure phase, you're getting ready, you're all set up, it's go time, everybody. Get up and just do it. Don't worry about what it looks like the first time. Don't worry about the times. Don't worry about if I planned on making 20 meals and I only got 2 done. Just do it. Show yourself that you can get out there and do it. The actual behavior of doing it will get you started, okay? And then number 5 is maintaining that behavior. Give yourself credit. Give yourself that pat on the back. I mean, celebrate every single time you do something. Hey, worked out for 5 minutes today. Do a little dance. Hey, you know, I did it. I got started. I jumped in. So celebrate those wins no matter what it is, okay? And that's going to help you with maintaining those behaviors as you move forward. And then the last part is that relapse part. Everyone, it is okay. It is okay. There are times where you're going to be like, you know what? I had to skip a few days. Life started to happen. The important part is to get back prepared and to get back into action. So I want you to be okay with relapse. Name it for yourself. Hey, you know what? I missed that. I relapsed today, but I'm going to jump back in as soon as I can. As a matter of fact, I'm going to add it to my calendar for Friday at noon. Okay, so the cycles of habit. What habits are you going to implement? What thing? And don't make it so big for yourself. Make it manageable. And I'm going to talk about that in the next slide. But set it up and set that for yourself starting now and put it up somewhere. For me, I like to put things on my bathroom mirror or on the refrigerator, because those are 2 places that I go every single day. And I look at several times during the day. Put that habit up there as that reminder to go, to get going, to prepare, to maintain, okay? Now, I want to move into this next slide where I gave you that background information. And now I want you to set that goal for yourself. If you have a piece of paper or a Post-it note, I actually want you to write it down right now. So 3 principles of success, of a successful beginning, from Dan Pink, one of my favorite. Actually, Susan, I don't know if I actually told you, but I actually wrote to him to try if he would be my mentor. Never got an answer back, but.
Oh, we're going to write again. We're going to write again.
So 3 principles of successful beginnings. Start right. Choose that goal and start right. You know, I set this grandiose goal. I think I heard Angela say she's been online looking at recipes. I went on Pinterest. I put all these meal prep things down, and I was that person that was just like, I'm going to meal prep on Sunday. All the meals for the week, you know, 3 meals a day. Yeah, no, that was too much for me. Somebody that doesn't cook, somebody that's never meal prep. So set the right goal for you. Maybe start small, but know yourself. Know yourself. Set the goals that fit you. Maybe a small, medium, or large. Start right. Start again. Plan for that relapse. Plan for it. Say, you know what? It's going to come. How am I going to react? How am I going to respond to that and not react, not get so hard on myself? At any point, you can start over. You are in control of that, okay? And the third thing is start together. And this is going to start with our team care part right now. Get an accountability buddy. Susan and our other one of our other colleagues, Gabby, are my biggest like accountability buddies. They have no problem calling me out, and I love it. I don't want to hear it sometimes, but they have no problem calling me out. Gabby is set to call me on Friday to make sure that I got my bike fixed so that I can get out more and start biking. Get an accountability partner. Who's your teammate? Who's a part of your team? Again, that could be your family. That could be your coworkers. Call them up. Get them on the phone with you. Hey, doing a workout on YouTube, log in, go to the same YouTube station with me. Get that team, that person involved. So here's what I want you to do. Get your phone out, get a piece of paper, get a Post-it note, get something, and I want you to set that goal. Set that goal to get ready to change a habit. It could be physical, it could be mental, it could be for your team, it could be all three. But this is what I want you to write. Starting X, starting when, starting give yourself date, time, everything. Starting Friday, noon, I will do what? What are you going to add? What are you going to set a goal for? With the support of Z. Who are you going to ask for support? It could be a partner. It could be a friend. It could be a coworker. Write this down. I'm asking you to do this. This was transformational in my life. Writing it down, making it plain, and putting it somewhere where I can see. And you can do this more than once. You can do one for your physical wellness. You can do one for your mental wellness, and you can do one for your team health or team wellness, and that'll actually help you with the team once you get back together, and now, because you never know who's going through things. Okay, I spent a long time on number 5, so I'm gonna get through number 6 very quickly, but not too quickly, because again, I picked out my favorite slides. Eating plants. Okay, I'm a fake vegetarian. I eat seafood, so pescatarian really, okay? But I'm huge on eating plants, okay? Especially your green leafy vegetables, cruciferous veggies, okay? There's a lot of research out there, especially on getting your vitamins in, vitamins A, B6, C, D. I think Susan just actually found one about vitamin C, how some of the hospitals have been using high dosage of vitamin C in IVs to help people with corona or the respiratory infections. So eat plants, eat a lot of plants. Next time you go to the grocery store, I strongly urge you to pick up some of these veggies and fruits, whether that's dark leafy greens, carrots, potatoes, nuts, seeds. These are little small things. I know a lot of people talk about their nutrition and their dieting. These are small things that you can start implementing into your diet that helps your immune health. And then we'll talk about a little bit later of the things that you need to take out of the diet as you're moving forward.
And one other dietary note.
Oh yeah, this is actually super funny. Susan loves sending me memes, and I thought this one was actually super funny. That the CDC said refrain from handshakes, during Corona, and Jeffrey Dahmer stops.
It's because I've been making a lot of smoothies, so that one just makes me laugh, even though it's old.
You're silly.
Yeah, and the other thing, back to the veggies, and all the vitamins are going to be covered as long as you eat enough fresh fruits and vegetables, right? So I get a multivitamin if you want, but you're going to get vitamins if you eat enough fresh fruits and vegetables. I think that if you're looking for like the highest impact fruits or vegetables to eat, I would say, all of them have fiber, and that's really important for the bacteria to grow on in your gut. And they call it prebiotics. But fermented foods is something I've been trying to eat more of, again, in the last 5 years, because learning about gut health and how much our nervous system is affected by the gut, and of course how many physical health problems we have related to gut health and the concentration and balance of bacteria in our gut, good bacteria and bad. And my son's on antibiotics right now, and so I have to figure out how to get some of this fermented food and probiotics back in his system, because it really has a big impact on our health and well-being. So that's, and Julie mentioned eating lots of plants. So hopefully you all can incorporate some more plant foods into your diet. And this is what Ty was alluding to, which is things you might need to intake less of. So consuming less alcohol consuming, less tobacco or pot. There hasn't been much research on THC or CBD yet, but we know that smoking tobacco can increase your chances of harmful immune responses, pathogens in our system. And we also know that excess intake of alcohol can tamper with the immune system. So, not saying like totally quit everything always, but everything in moderation, and figure out, what your system needs a little rest from in that intoxicant category. Because for some of us, like, this is medicine too, right? Like, we need this kind of escape, or this habit that we have created that we really are excited about as a society. But when you look at the science and the fact that we're deluding ourselves about some of this, like, alcohol causes more harm than we're willing to admit, because that's how restaurants make money, selling alcohol. Like, there's just certain things in our system that we can't really admit too much. But if you limit your drinking and smoking during this time, you will probably have a stronger immune system, and that is good. But keep washing your hands, because that is, as all the experts say, wear masks, wash your hands, even like you just got done slicing jalapenos. So sleep, I'm talking about sleep, right, Ty? I don't have my notes in front of me. I love talking about sleep.
Yes.
I stopped setting an alarm during this coronavirus situation, unless I really need one, because I have been actually getting to sleep by midnight, and it took like some habit change for me to do that, to get upstairs, in time, to get in the bed by the right time, right? But also my body, I've figured out that my body needs 7 hours. I never really knew that before, because I was always sleeping 6 and feeling tired. And then I would feel like when I slept 8, that was good, but my body doesn't need 8, it needs 7. And so figuring that out without an alarm has really made my mornings more pleasant, because my body wakes up itself, instead of me going like, oh, is it time already? When the alarm goes off. And I'm completing sleep cycles that way as well. So lack of sleep or poor sleep can reduce activity of those T cells, those infection fighters in the body. And so this is a really important free thing that you can do. It's just that some people, like present company with 4-month-olds, or people with sleep challenges, or with other life challenges that prevent them from getting sleep, you have to figure out, like, how are you going to get that sleep otherwise? Are you going to take naps? Are you going to try yoga nidra, which they say is, even if you fall asleep during this guided meditation practice, it's actually such a fundamentally deep practice for your body that it counts, more sleep than what you did in the yoga nidra. Are you going to work out to make yourself more tired so that you fall asleep faster? Are you going to take melatonin, which is a natural hormone that helps us reset our circadian rhythm? Are you going to read a book by Arianna Huffington, who loves sleep and talks about how sleeping more changed her life? There's a lot of ways that you can figure out better sleep or more sleep. So we put this on the list. It could be the topic of an entire webinar, but I just wanted to bring that up as a really important immune booster. And then, of course, idleness when you're awake, also really important to your brain and to your therefore to your immune system. But this is something we talk about in the Brain Breaks webinar. But I just encourage people, especially during this time, not to feel bad about being idle. Embrace it, because it's a really indispensable way for your brain to sort of process what it's going through, what it's learned, as well as to come up with new ideas. Which you don't have to. You can just be mindful and be present and not be thinking of new ideas or ruminating over past ones at all. But being idle and being restful, having high quality sleep, is more important than we in our type A go society really realize. And then finally, before I flip it back to Ty, lymphatic massage and yoga I'm putting together, because both of those things boost your lymph. And lymph is a fluid that contains infection-fighting white blood cells. And you want the lymph to move throughout your body. You want to stimulate that movement. So yoga postures can help, because you're physically turning your body into different poses, sometimes upside down, weight bearing in some way. And if you, depending on the pose you're doing, you can move the lymph in your body. But lymphatic massage is another way to do it. quick story. I was talking to my old yoga teacher, Kate, and said, you know, what immune boosting strategies do you recommend? She said, lymphatic massage. I said, what's that? And she sent me a video. And I sent the video to my mom, who has sinus problems, because it's all about the massaging of face, neck, and, you know, head. And I said, hey, Mom, try this, because she tried the neti pot when I told her to, and she said it made a big difference for her. And she texted me back really fast and said, I did it on one side of my face, or one side of my head, and it feels fantastic. I can't wait to do it to the other side. And so this, for someone with sinus issues, who I'm surprised she didn't know about it before, was an immediate fix for her and an immediate relief. And so just as another way for you to stimulate your immune system, and there are tons of videos on this online. Look up lymphatic massage, look into yoga, and know that, you know, when you're moving your body around, another benefit of movement, you're also stimulating the lymph, which is going to help you stay healthy. So mindfulness, back over to Ty.
Yes, mindfulness, mindfulness, mindfulness. I want to combat, you know, the myth that everyone hears the word mindfulness and they automatically like, oh, I gotta meditate more. Mindfulness is something that you should be doing on a regular basis, something that you should be doing technically all day long, being mindful, right? It's that awareness, that moment to moment awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, your sensations, your surroundings, your environment, and just having a lens of being present. I used to, as an instructional coach, I used to encourage teachers, you know, before you just start yelling, and I tell parents this too, before you just start, you know, yelling, or the kids are doing something, look up, assess the situation. It could be something else going on. Be present, look in that person's face, you know, look at their body language, being present in that moment, being present of your, with your thoughts, your feelings, and even what you're feeling in that moment is the practice of being mindful. So there's lots of research, lots of research on the effects of mindfulness, how good it is for you. And meditation is a part of it. You can meditate. I've been doing, Susan, sound baths lately. I like to do them in person to hear the vibrations of the bowls, but they actually have some really, really good ones on YouTube, added to some waves. And it's been really good, and it helps, you know, with the breathing and bringing my present tense awareness there. But I really want you all to dig into that research on mindfulness. When we practice mindfulness, our thoughts tune into what we are sensing in the present moment. Rather than, if you're anything like me, I often rehearse and rehash the past or imagining the future. It helps to bring me back to present. And like Susan said, I have a 5-month-old. If I'm too busy rehashing and doing all this stuff, how can I be present and attuned to what's happening with him and never want to miss any of these great milestones that I'm seeing? So I encourage you to practice your mindfulness. Maybe that's something that you want to add to your habit change or one of your goals, but being present with your thoughts, your feelings, and your body. Was that up long enough for everyone to read?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to put the benefits up when you were talking, because I was responding in the chat box.
You know, like I said, lots of research on it. It definitely reduces stress. Is one of my biggest ways to reduce stress. So definitely practice your mindfulness. We're coming down to the last few, everyone. Number 11 of our 15, social pets and gratitude. I'm not sure why we didn't break those up, but they all kind of, but that's social interaction. I actually just told my sister, I'm not sure what my 4-year-old niece is going to do when I go back to work. I am on the phone or FaceTime with her constantly. I'm actually surprised she's not calling me now, but it's my, you know, just being social with her and her playing Barbies with me or teaching me how to paint my nails or something. It's actually very calming and, you know, relaxing, even to her, just me being on the phone, you know. So call that friend you haven't called in a while, not the exes, you know, you might want to leave them in that box, but call the friends that you maybe haven't talked to in a while. and get that social interaction. And also remember, you can get that social interaction with your pets. It's nothing for me to talk to my animals, you know, and talk out. Even before I do some of these presentations, I talk to them about my presentation and talk through my presentation with them. One of my dogs actually responds back. He's the talker of the group. But getting out, walking with them, pets just in general add to a lot of different things. If you have the type of pets that you can walk with, now you're bringing in that vitamin D, that physical, and someone to talk to. Even that of your cats, petting your cat, and releasing those endorphins, laughing at animals, silliness. My spouse always give me a laugh every day. And then showing that gratitude, practicing showing gratitude. That's something I actually want to increase. Susan great. He is single-handedly saving our postal system. But Susan will send me a note in the mail, a gift in the mail, little things like that. And it is her way of showing gratitude. And it's a great way to fill my cup up as well too. So how can you practice gratitude? That's, again, add that to your habit change. Rewiring be a good thing for your as your team, whether it's your family or your coworkers, to add that gratitude piece in. I'm sure everyone needs that during this time. Number 12, before I kick it back over, actually I got 12 and 13. Ooh. So number 12, essential oils. This has been something that was introduced to me, actually, Susan, when I started yoga. After a hot yoga class, they would give out those cold lavender towels. When I got introduced to lavender, it was like, where have you been all of my life? I mean, I found everything that had lavender in it. And I think someone was talking about, I think Julia was talking about sleep and melatonin. Man, lavender, they have lavender spray for pillows, or just the essential oil for in a diffuser, lavender in a diffuser. I mean, talk about knocked out. Lavender tea. I mean, lavender, lavender, lavender. But there are so many essential oils. If you can order or have a diffuser, fire that thing up. There are so many different benefits to a lot of essential, a lot of different, you know, combinations of oils as well too, to put in the diffuser. So that can be a good thing to add to your list of things to add into your daily routine.
I will say real quick, this is the mostly science-based part because the essential oils, I haven't read any peer-reviewed research on boosting your immune system with essential oils, but you know, as you can see from this tea house in DC, they make their own immune booster oil mix. And like Ty said, there are a lot of incredible benefits to herbalism and essential oils. But I will point out that this is the least science-based strategy on our list of 15.
Working on the science behind it. Katie's going to help us out with that. Okay, so number 13, the last one before I kick it over to Susan, is the herbal teas and tonics. While I do love my coffee, there are definitely a lot of benefits to the teas and the tonics. I just ordered another batch of my elderberry. That is something that I live by. Ginger root. Iris, add that to your list. Chop it up, boil it. You know, it's a great way. Vitamin C, some of those things are, again, immune boosters. A lot of these are in teas already. So look at what's in your teas. Add these to your tea list or with your grocery list. Garlic. I think we have garlic in everything. So I think it's like coming out of my pores at this point. But adding garlic, I mean, it adds flavor to almost anything. So adding a little fresh garlic to some of your teas and tonics or even food is definitely a benefit. Honey, I particularly, I used to go to the farmer's market over time. I like the local honeys because someone also told me that it's good with building your system against the pollen in your area. So I obviously haven't gotten out to the farmer's market, but Manduka honey, I think, is another good one. Certain brands, you got to look at it and stuff like that. But honey is just great in general. It's full of honey.
Yeah, the local honey is great. And suppose that you're also always supposed to look for raw honey that hasn't been pasteurized because the heat kills some of the beneficial properties. So I have the two biggest ones, and we've saved them for last, and we have like 30 seconds left, a few minutes. But Ayurveda is just here as a placeholder for you. We're not going to go into it in depth today like all of these. But you might have heard of Ayurveda. It's a multi-millennial year-old system. You might have heard of Pitta, Kapha, or Vata, which are the three dominant doshas or body types that Ayurveda talks about. And there's a lot of nutritional advice and practical things like massaging your feet with oil, or eating certain spices to either calm certain parts of your body or wake up and invigorate certain parts of your body. So it's very responsive to who you are, what the seasons are, and what the challenges are. But Ayurveda is something that I've just begun to look into, and there are many, many Ayurvedic experts and resources online, experts in the community. So if you need more information, please let me know. But this is another way, and an ancient, very effective way of guarding your body against infection. And then finally, play. This is number 15, and it might seem frivolous, but it's critically important because, and I'll try to do this briefly, I used to work for Playworks and Kaboom, so I have a lot to say about play. But basically, when we're in a state of play, it's that present, joyful, some moving around, and unpredictable. It's spontaneous. You don't know what's going to happen. And that is a state that creates endorphins and sparks imagination. So this is a really important brain state that kids get in all the time. Kids are familiar with the state of play, and you can see it when they're in that state. Adults, we have it trained out of us. We train it out of ourselves. And so I'm asking you to train yourself again, to remember, to revitalize, to refresh by thinking back to how you played as a kid. And I want you to do this now. Just jot it down. You don't have to share it with us, but think of how you played as a kid when you lost track of time, when you really cultivated something that was joyful for you and it was active in some way. Kids are naturals at playing. They're also naturals at finding their joy. And adults are bad at both of those things. So if you can find something that you can do now as an adult that harkens back to how you played as a kid, or maybe you get a clue in your childhood play. Maybe it's something on this list, maybe it's not. But your childhood play might give you a clue as to what's going to bring you joy today. And so for example, I used to dance in the basement to my vinyl records when I was a kid, and I was taking ballet, but it was kind of boring. So I would do like jazz dance in the basement for my stuffed animals. And that brought me a ton of joy, but I didn't really think about the importance of dance in my life bringing me joy until much later when I was going through a divorce and I needed some more joy in my life. And I was like, oh, somebody invited me out salsa dancing. I was like, I don't know how to do that. But I went and I was fascinated and I learned, and then it brought me a ton of joy. But I didn't put it together in my brain that that was something that I had figured out a long time ago. And I just needed to reawaken that in me. So play is a really important immune booster. I want you to stay in touch with us. Obviously, you have us here, and there's been some great suggestions shared in the chat box. So check that out if you haven't. You can follow us on Instagram. Nonprofit Wellness is where we share a lot of this information, and we're sharing all the immune boosters with some different research now. And then we have a new set of interns. One of them is on the call now, Katie Fernandez. Hey, Katie, where we're going to be having our MPH, Masters of Public Health students from George Washington University, do even more research. So our future webinars and Nonprofit Wellness Instagram posts will be even more fact-based and science-rooted and helpful, because of the brains and savvy that our GWU cohort brings. So I'm really excited. Thanks for joining us today, Katie. You get a sense of our immune booster curriculum now. And we don't have, it's 4:30, and I'm sorry we went right to, it's 4:33. I'm so sorry we went right to time or right over time. Happy to stay on for a few minutes if folks have questions, but I also know you need to get to the rest of your life. So go ahead and log off if you need to, and we'll stay on if there are any questions. But also just spread the word. Like if you enjoyed this webinar, we want more than 4 people to join us, and the DCI community can really use some self-care, team care, and stress relief. So spread the word amongst your other staff members and parents to join us next week with Maria Jose and in future webinars because we really want DCI to be one of the best schools in the city. It already is, but we need to create this culture of care so that we can be as mentally and physically healthy as we are technologically and linguistically healthy at DCI. So any questions before folks have to jump off? You can take off your microphone from mute, or you can put it in, oh, thanks for adding us on Instagram, Iris, or you can chat something in the chat box.
I also want to just say thank you for all of you for joining and, you know, being interactive with us. It was great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Beth. I'd love to have you. I'm very lucky that our my organization's also doing some pretty in-depth wellness. So I'd love to recommend you all to do this immune boosting. TYECIA, I didn't recognize your name when I first got on, but I did a Bikram yoga challenge with you at Tacoma Park. And congratulations, I haven't seen you in a while. I didn't even know you were having a baby, so that's awesome.
Recognize my last name now that you said that.
Yeah, Julia Moran Morton, and Tacoma's closed now, but so I've done wellness with TYECIA, and I've known Susan for a long time and really appreciating this wellness. So I'm definitely going to recommend you to the some HR team who's been bringing in some wellness coaching.
Awesome.
Thank you. Well, we have different talks, so happy to talk to you more about what your team might need, but it's also great to hear that they're focusing on wellness because so many workplaces aren't. And in the corporate world, I think I mentioned it's a $7 billion industry, but nonprofits and schools haven't really figured out how to take care of their people yet because we're cheap and we're busy and we're stressed, and it's not, you know, we're used to taking care of other people. We're not used to taking care of ourselves. So it's a tougher road than it should be to get even wellness information talked about at work.
Thank you for this workshop or webinar. I learned a lot. I mean, there's a lot of good information there, and there's a lot of good things, and I just gotta build those habits. So
thank you. Mil gracias, Iris. But you know what? Don't take on too much. Like, don't try to change 15 things.
It's hard. I took down a lot of notes though. Like I put stuff on my list, and I mean, I also joined. What did I join? Noon.
Oh, that's great.
So, you know, little by little, because I know it's not easy.
I'd love to talk to you sometime about Noom because it is a habit-changing app that a lot of people have found helpful. And just like Headspace offers free subscriptions to educators for meditation applications, and that link is in the chat box too, Iris, if you don't have it already. I'm trying to...
Because I had already like pay for it. So I was like,
oh,
yeah.
You're really committed. I didn't even pay for it.
Headspace, because the thing is, like, before, like, I had suffered from anxiety and panic attacks. So I'm always looking for apps to help me calm and, you know, get through the night and stuff like that. So I came across Headspace before. They offer it to everyone as free, and I'm like, dang it.
Right. Well, maybe you can use your DCInternationalschool.org email address to get it for like a family member. But that's great. And the Noom app, as I was saying, I was hoping to get like BetterHelp and Noom and some of the other popular apps to work with some of our schools like DCI, where we could test like, hey, is this helpful? Is this something that teachers could use? And then you could give feedback to your administrators, like, yeah, maybe this is something we should try.
Like 4 or 5 days ago, so I don't know. I mean, I'm already having like a little bit of a hard time, you know, with the weighing, because it says you have to weigh yourself every day. I don't have a scale. Like I refuse to have one, and now it's like I feel like I have to buy one because I have to weigh myself.
I don't like that. And TYECIA and I are both like, no. I would go by other measurements of health.
Yeah, I haven't, I mean, it says I can try it for 14 days for a certain amount, and then if I don't like it, I can just tell my coach. But like, I just started, so I don't know if I'm gonna like it or if I'm gonna hate it. We'll see what happens.
Right. Well, let us know how it goes for you, Iris. I'm not pushing it because I've never tried it, but you know, there are things that work for people, and it's good to know that what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah. The daily struggle for me, fighting with staying healthy and everything. But
yeah, it's daily for all of us, right? And I feel like sometimes, because they say like listen to your body, like listen to, you know, everyone says that, but sometimes you lie to yourself. And so when you're listening to yourself, you're listening to lies. Like sometimes I say, oh, I'm so exhausted, I need to lie on the couch and watch Netflix. I'm lying to myself. What I really need is to take a walk outside and to eat a salad. But
yes,
unless you've tried those things, unless you've tried walking outside and you've tried eating a salad, you don't have really the mental space to consider that that's an option for you. And so that's why we love doing these workshops and giving you new ideas. We don't want to overwhelm, but we want you to say, oh, I should try yoga or lymphatic massage. I should try herbal teas or whatever it is. And then if you try it, it works for you, great.
right.
But you have to figure out what works.
Before I did yoga, and it did help me a lot with, like I said, my panic attacks and stuff, anxiety and all that. I used to work at Eagle Haynes prior coming to DCI, and they used to have these organizations. I mean, it was Yoga Heights, I think. They used to come to the school, and we used to sign up like packages or whatever for a month.